Can you guys see me yet? Am I live, guys? Oh, you see me. Good. Okay. I apologize for that. It was indeed technical difficulties. I recently built a new capture and streaming PC, and the old connection to YouTube wasn't there, and I tried to reconnect it. I thought I had it all set up, and it just wasn't. So we are here now, and I apologize again for the delay. Okay. So thank you all for joining. I really appreciate it. I don't know how many we've got here. I can only see what's in the comments, the top comments, top chat. I'm not seeing a participant list or where I go to get. Maybe it's in stats. We had no, there's wrong stats. Okay. So, alrighty here. Well, what we have today to look at is Commodore 64, and this is the lot that I got it in recently. I got lucky and came across a listing in Craigslist for an estate sale where this was listed, and it was a tag sale, and it was right around the corner from me, about 5 minutes from my house. So I got extremely lucky here, and the luck only increased when I got there and found this entire lot for $60 US. So I really scored. Now, the seller was actually the original owner. He did tell me that one of the disk drives, and they're both Neutronics drives, so this is no surprise, but one of the disk drives does have a bad head, so I'll probably end up using that as a parts drive. But if I can get the other one going and get this 64 going, this is a pretty good haul. And Meadolf, yeah, I do usually get back to C64s. I like to explore all the other stuff too, but it always comes back to the Commodores at some point. Hey, Steve. All right, so let me turn off the image. This is that C64, and all I have done with it so far is I have plugged it in. I have tested it with no cartridge, which I'll do again for you right now. Let me bring up the output. This one. When I turn it on with no cartridge, I get black screen with the white line. So it is not fully, it's not fully working. However, if I put in dead test, turn it on with dead test, you'll see that we get dead test. So that alone tells me that the RAM is good. But we'll let it go through its tests here. While it's doing that, I want to thank you guys for having patience with me. I know I've been a little erratic with my releases of videos lately, and I did explain that. I'm dealing with some issues that a lot of people deal with in their lives with elderly parents, and I'm glad that you guys have stuck with me, and I appreciate that. It's nice when I'm doing my pre-recorded videos that I can just fast forward us through these things, but we have to sit through them now since we're live. Yeah, I was very happy with the deal I got on these. I don't think, I don't think the owner. Yeah, yes, I do want to do a 128. The unfortunate part about the 128 is the price. I just can't find one for a reasonable, or what I consider a reasonable price. Obviously, I'd like to find one. I'm not looking for one that's, fully tested and working. I'm looking for one with some issues to deal with. But I just that's the problem I have with several of my target machines. The 128, the Amigas, um, the the Apple II. If you've watched the video, the unboxing video from a couple days ago, you'll see that I did get finally an Apple II to get started down that path. Um, Others of my holy grail machines. Since I was 9 years old, I have lusted after, if you might say, um, an Atari 800, and uh, that's another lucky find that I had last week. I ran across this. In this case, it was a Facebook Marketplace seller who had listed an Atari 800, and he lives about 40 miles from me. So I made him an offer. He was willing to ship it, but I made him an offer. You know, will you take this much if you don't have to pack and ship it? And he accepted my offer. And I went over, made the drive over to him, and the listing showed the Atari 800, the power supply, a basic cartridge. For some reason, 2 Defender cartridges. I didn't understand that, but also a 410 tape drive. And when I got there, it turns out the listing was actually for 2 Atari 800s and all that other stuff. So I got quite a deal on that because the offer I made him was $125. So I got 2 Atari 800s for $125. And if you watch them on eBay, you're not getting a working one for less than $350, $400. And that was just for one. The 2 of them, one was in complete condition and nice shape. The second one is missing a few keycaps. The one that was missing a few keycaps turned out it had 1 bad RAM chip on it. And once I replaced that, they're both working machines. So I got a good deal on that as well. But yes, I do want to get to the C128s. And I'm sorry I'm turning my back to you. Where I see your chat is opposite side from where I probably should move. See if I can move this camera over so I can see you all the time, or you can see me all the time. Scared my dog. Moving the camera tripod around. Let's see if this works any better. Find space for the tripod feet. And there. Now you can see me and I can look at your chats. Yeah, any Moss branded chip can fail. Well, any chip can fail, not just Moss branded chips. But they are definitely more common to fail than any others. Moss Technologies used a chemical or used an amount of a chemical in their process that over time tends to deteriorate the die of the chip, and they fail. So yes, those are common points of failure when you're working with Commodores. Steve, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to getting a hold of that thing, though I'm not sure about the dead flesh keyboard. It will be slightly better than the ZX81, but yeah, still. Rudy, yes, I probably will need a lot of help with the Apple. I have really no experience with them. And no knowledge of, I don't even know how they're supposed to operate. So I'll probably be reaching out to lots of people for help and watching lots of videos. I think I've seen most of Adrian Black's videos on the various Apples that he's worked on, but since I didn't have one myself at the time, all that knowledge hasn't stuck. So I'll need definite assistance with the Apple. The first step with the Apple is going to be to open up the power supply. And I know that has rivets, so I'm going to have to be drilling out those rivets and getting into that power supply so that I can, I'm sure, replace at least the REFAs, if not other caps in there. And we'll see what cleanup needs to be done if any of them have leaked badly. So, with the Commodore 64 that we've got on the bench here, the original owner was there when I bought it, and the impression I got from him was that this has never been opened up. So we may have a virgin C64 here. The unfortunate thing is I have a feeling, a sneaking suspicion, that I already know what's wrong with it. And some of you may too, just from the symptoms that it's exhibiting. It appears the power supplies, all three rails, the external 5 volts and the internal 5 and 12 volts seem to be fine. Obviously the VIC-2 is working because we are getting a video signal in dead test. CPU is working because dead test is working. RAM seems to be good because dead test is working. I don't know if you were paying attention. I forgot to mention it while it was running, but the time of day clocks on the CIAs were operating correctly, indicating that at least part of the CIAs are working. And that leaves us with logic chips and possibly the CIAs and the ROMs. And I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to find the problem in the ROMs, because I don't think it's going to be the PLA. Yeah, this is a virgin machine. That cracking was a pretty good sign. Well, I don't know, maybe not. If you know these machines, you know this connects the grounding plane on the cardboard to the grounding plane on the motherboard through the cartridge slot cover, and that is loose. That could have simply come loose on its own, though. It doesn't have to have been pulled off. So maybe it's virgin, maybe it's not. But we'll take a look inside here. I don't even know which revision board we've got, and we have a 250407. Pretty dusty 250407, actually. This is an older one. We've got a well, not that old, I guess. We've got an 84 date code on the SID, 84 on the CIAs, 84 is on the ROMs. I was surprised by the gold memory. That made me think it was an earlier machine, but I guess some of those may have been later. I'll go ahead and pop the cap on the Vic can. So I don't think we're going to need to be getting in there. Okay, so we have sockets on the VIC-2 and the SID, and nothing else is socketed. So if my suspicion is right that we've got a problem with a ROM, I'm going to have to definitely be doing some desoldering. So let's get this board out of here. Yeah, Steve, I thought the same because those rams were, the gold ceramic rams that was an early machine, but all the other chips seem to be dated 84, which is, I mean, it's early, but it's not that early. We're not talking an 82 machine. Well, we'll see if it's a brass RF shield. I know a lot of people, and maybe some of you are among them, hate it when people like Adrian Black or myself throw away those RF shields, but they just get in the way. And if you put them back, then you have to take them off again the next time. The cardboard's definitely getting tossed. And let's see what we've got. Nope, silver. So it's not that old. But, well, see, that one's loose. I don't see much of an indication that these have ever been desoldered. Except for the one that never got soldered, it looks like. So, let's go ahead and heat up the iron. And while that heats up, I'll check the comments. See what we've got. Okay, our soldering iron is at temperature, so I need to start pulling. I hate doing this. Actually, I probably need to boost that temperature a little bit. But we can start to work on them. Oh, come on. Reason I obviously hate to do this is because I'm right-handed, and that puts the soldering iron in my left hand, and I'm not super coordinated, so forgive me as I kind of take my time on this, try to keep it in view for you. The one on that side isn't soldered either. One is on that side are not soldered. Next one is here. And I have a habit of melting ports when I go for this one, so forgive me if I do that. Oh, pretty easy. And here, though I do smell melted plastic, so I must have touched it at some point. Let's see. And there we go. And I think that's all of them. So let's see what we find underneath. I will just to, oh no, there was one on that side. I did miss it. I will set this shield aside and not throw it in the bin right now to save the sensibilities of any of you who might be annoyed by, like I said, those of us who throw away the shields. So I will simply set this to the side and not in the bin. Let's look at what we've got on the back here. I am not seeing any signs, well, maybe. The character ROM might have been resoldered. If so, it was resoldered directly back to the board. It's cleaned up pretty well, but it just has a slightly different shade to the silver of the solder than the rest of the wave soldered components. That's the only thing I'm seeing with an indication of rework. Now, of course, there is, as usual, there is flux around the hand soldered ports. But other than that, it's very clean on the bottom. Our ports, our fingers are pretty good. I see some dust underneath the cartridge cover on top of the port, but that's to be expected with as dusty as the rest of the top of this board is. But I am seeing nothing obvious, nothing obviously broken, no evidence of trace damage, nothing bent to the point where it's connecting things that shouldn't be connected. I just see a good, healthy looking 250407. Yeah, like I said, the date codes are for the most part in the 84 range, as far as I can see. Yeah, they're pretty much all 84s. So I would put this machine, it looks like early 84. Yeah, I'd say this machine was manufactured somewhere in the first half of 84 based on the date codes on the chips. And like someone mentioned, there are only the two sockets, only the VIC-ii and the SID. Those were both often, not universally, but often socketed from the factory. I think the VIC-ii is almost universally socketed. The SID, slightly less often. Let me get some paper towel and IPA and see if I can get this thermal compound off the VIC and see which revision we've got here. Nice, we have an R8. So it may be an early machine, but it's got a later revision VIC. Now, I don't know if that was a replacement or whether that was originally put in it. I don't know when the R4 came out and started being used in boards, but I am glad we have an R8, and obviously the R8 is good for us, and the chip is actually good because we saw it working. Can you guys give me 5 or 2 or 3 minutes. I need to run downstairs just for a moment. I'll be right back. Apologies for that. I don't know if I've ever mentioned it, but I am diabetic, as you might expect. So that does sometimes increase the frequency of those little trips we need to make. So, do you want to start taking stabs, or back screen? Yeah. Do you want to start taking stabs, or would you prefer to go through the full diagnostics process? So we would start with power, check all the power, check the reset line, check the clock. I think all of that stuff is obviously working because we were able to get to dead test. But if you want to go through that, we will. Run it regular diag. I've done that before. I can tell you what it'll do. I'll run it for you. I have no problem with that. It will black screen with the white line. So let me set this to regular diagnostics again. Off, on. Actually, we'll run the enhanced diagnostics. Off, on, off, on. And RAM low. Pulled off my S video lead. And bring up the output. Here is the enhanced diagnostics. Black screen, white line. So there you go. So as we said, for anybody who joined late, obviously you see it now with the diagnostics running with black screen with white line. If I take this out and just try to boot to basic, it's also black screen, white line. But if we switch to dead test, Oops. Yeah, I shouldn't do that. Gotta be more careful. Dead test will give us a dead test. And that will run fully through, including the SID test. So that's the symptoms that we have to go from. Marcus, you think it's the PLA? Or are you just saying success? Kapla. Pin soldering on U24. U24 is going to be one of the RAM, I believe. No, U24. Okay, that's the 555 timer. I'll look. Oh, there is a little bit of a mess, spider nest or something down here. It was just something on the pin. So there you go, Steve. There's U24. If I can get it out from behind the output screen. I'm not seeing an actual bridge in there now. Come on, focus. The camera can be a bit of a pain sometimes. Well, oh, sorry, I was hitting the mic. That probably sounded awful. I'm not seeing, and I'm going to bring the magnifying lens in here just to be sure. I'm not seeing, no. Nothing is bridged there. I'll check it. There's one spot that I think you're talking about. Which is, yeah, these second and third pins here. I will bring in, set this to continuity. Do we get a continuity across those? Oh, we do. Okay. Are we supposed to have continuity there? That is pins 12 and 13 on the 555 timer. Mouse. I'm going to pull up. Oh, I've lost. The machine that I use for streaming and for all my lookup at the desk, I built a new one not too long ago, and lost all my bookmarks along with a lot of other stuff, including the links to YouTube Studio, which caused all my technical problems at the beginning of this video. But let's see here. We'll get back to that in a second. I want to verify that these two pins should be bridged before I get too far away from it. So I am going to, let's see, turn on the display capture so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going over to BWAC's GitHub page and to his 250407 replica, because under that he has an interactive bomb. No, not there. Is this it? Yeah, no, that's the build, but actual build. Oh, there it is. An interactive bomb, which is very useful for tracing things down. So I'm going to zoom it in. I move the bomb part of it over. And I'm going to zoom in on the 555 timer. If I can, let's see. There we go. On the 555 timer, if I click one of the pins, it'll show me everything else that it should be. Let's see if I can get this so you can see it better. No, there. So if you click any of the pins, it shows you what what they're supposed to be connected to. And as it happens, when I click either of these two pins, the two that we were looking at, they both highlight in red, so that means they're supposed to be bridged. So that bridge is supposed to exist where it does. So that covered. Now we can take a look at, see, someone asked me to let it run for a few minutes and see if anything gets hot. I can do that. It's possible something will heat up and tell us something. Though if my guess is right, and I could be very wrong, but if my guess is right, that's not going to be the case. Now we are going to get some hot chips, because obviously, as everybody knows, the VIC-2 gets hot, and well, the SID may or may not, because it's not being used. But the VIC-2 should get nice and toasty warm. The CPU will get a little warm. The ROMs will get a little warm. And I don't have a thermal camera yet, but I do have this little laser reader. Oh, sorry, you can't see that. Let's hide the display capture again. And get that out of the way, and hide the output. There. Now you can see what I'm doing. I do have this little laser heat sensor, which is ever so slightly better than just using the back of my fingers to test for temperature. We have this running now, and let's see where things are at. The VIC-2 is at 35 degrees. CPU 31.5, nothing to write home about there. Character ROM 31.4. Kernel ROM 33.7 or 8. 34. Kernel ROM is running a little bit warm. Basic ROM 31, nothing to write home about there. CIA 2 30.9. CIA 1 29.9. 30.7. I keep slipping off. So 30.2 there. The RAM 30 degrees. 30 degrees. 30 degrees. 30. 30. 30. 31. 31. Look at the 555 or 556 rather. 28.8. Nothing to write home about there. That I should have mentioned. Looking over here, we have 2 MOS logic chips. And that seems to be all. Everything else is other manufacturers. Of course, all the main ICs are MOS. These RAM chips are not MT, so no big scary monsters there. But let's check this MOS chip. 29.7. This MOS chip 30.7. Check the rest of the logic. 30.6. 29.8. 29.9. 30.1. 29.2. 29.1. 31.5. 30.2. Yeah, the SID's up to 37-ish. The VIC-2 is up to, the VIC-2 as expected is running quite warm. It's at 39, 40, 41 degrees. The PLA is at 34.2, sorry, 33.4. The CPU is now up to 34. So I'm not seeing anything, at least with the laser thermometer, that is giving me an indication that one of the chips is running too hot. Let's see what you guys have been saying here. I can tell you right now, one of you is on the same page as me as to what you suspect. Two of you are now on the same page as me as to what you expect. Um, yeah, Rudy, I hope you make it back before we get done. Um, you're right. An oscilloscope might help out, and I have one, and I'm ready to go that route. I wanted to cover anything you guys wanted to cover before we went that direction. Um, I assume you guys don't want me to check power and reset, because we've seen things that indicate that all those things are fine, right? A couple of you mentioned that you suspect the kernel ROM, and that is exactly what I suspect. Yes, it could theoretically still be the PLA, but the symptoms that we're seeing, where it runs perfectly in dead test and black screens in both basic or the standard diagnostics, what that tells me, or what that suggests to me, it can suggest many things, but what I'm thinking is that the ROM is corrupt. Not that it has a short, or not that it has a short on the chip select, so it's not causing a bus conflict. If it were causing a bus conflict, most likely the dead test wouldn't run. Dead test doesn't require the ROMs to operate, but if the ROMs are faulty in certain ways, they can still kill dead test. Well, that actually is getting a bit warm. Let's see where we are on these now. The character ROM is at 34.8. Basic is at 36 point, 35.1, 36. And the kernel ROM, 37.3 right now, dead center. So it could be shorted other ways, or it could simply have corrupt data on it, and what we would get would be a black screen. If the kernel ROM is operating correctly, but the basic ROM is not reporting back the right data, then you can get just the border and the interior blue color. If the character ROM is faulty in that way, what you get usually is corrupted character data. But if the kernel ROM is corrupted, or simply not reporting back the right data, none of the rest of that will function, so you'll end up with a black screen. Since we got the time of day clocks on the CIAs, I'm not suspecting them right away. The CPU is obviously working. The SID passed its test. I could pull it, but actually, let's, to be safe, I saw someone mention it. You're right. I should pull the SID, but since we heard it play, it's probably not the problem. So there's the SID out. We'll see if we get anything different. Give you the output back again. There it is. Oh. This video fell out again. There we go. That's interesting. I'm seeing it on my little display. Oh, there it is. Okay, so still with the sit out, we're getting black screen with white line with no cartridge in. So yeah, Rudy, you're right. Or, sorry, Steve, you're right. The dead test bypasses the kernel, which is why if it's getting corrupt data out of the kernel, the dead test would work, but booting to basic or booting into the diagnostics would not. Kernel time. Okay, I think we're mostly in agreement here that it looks like we've got a kernel issue. So I am going to desolder and socket the kernel chip while we wait for my desoldering station to warm up. I'll go over and get a 28 pin socket, 24 pin socket, sorry. Yeah. And I apologize to those of you who aren't big fans of these, but all I have on hand right now are the machined pin sockets for 24 pin. So we'll have to go with that. Let me go ahead and mark where I need to desolder, and that's kernel right here. We will add a bit of leaded solder to help us clean these holes out well. Okay, our desoldering station is just about up. You should hear the beeps momentarily. You'll notice I'm holding the board upright. I know I mentioned that on a previous video. I do want to give a little credit to Steve, 8-Bit Retro Refix, who reminded me. I've been doing it this way for so long, I just didn't even think about it. But in a discussion we were having after one of our lives, he brought it up again, and it reminded me of the fact that I do it and why I do it. So that's on him for bringing that back up. So thanks, Steve. Sorry guys, I'm not very talkative when I'm doing this. If I were using the magnifying lens, it'd be a little different. I have trouble. I'm an older fella, like a lot of the rest of you, and my eyesight isn't what it used to be, so I kind of have to concentrate quite a bit when I'm doing this just to get the desoldering gun onto the pins. You use these desoldering guns enough, for those of you who haven't used them, you use them enough and you start to be able to hear when they're getting a little clogged. So I can tell that's needing a little clean before I finish up. Now I don't know where I was, of course. That sounds better. It's one disadvantage to doing soldering and desoldering the way I do, with the diagonal method, which I didn't really need to do in this case. But if you think you might reuse a chip, it's a good idea to spread out the heat that you're putting into the chip, and that's why I do diagonal. But the disadvantage is, if you stop and look away, you can lose your place really easily. I think, yeah, that came out like a dream. So there is our old kernel ROM chip. Now we will test that in a moment in the ZIF machine, but for now, I should have, yep, a kernel EEPROM that I've burned previously and is already in an adapter. So we will be using that, but let's go ahead and pop our socket in first. Always, as usual, making sure to, well, actually, clean first. Be smart, clean. Make sure your work area is clean. And check it to make sure all the traces and pads are still good. I was jumping ahead of myself. Yeah, everything seems to look good there, except for a bit of fuzz in one of the vias. Okay, on the back side, clean it. Check the area around it for bad traces or pads, bridges, anything. Nope, looks good. Okay, so now a new socket. Is that gonna, yeah, that'll hold it. Debating whether to get my blue tack out, but that's holding in just strong enough for me to be able to flip it and give it the corners tack, get the corners tacked. And so we'll just tack in 2 opposing corners. And hold the socket from the underside. Re-wet those corners. Make sure it has remained flush to the board. And it looks fine, so I can go ahead and finish soldering the rest of the pins. Okay, again, with the cleanup. And a close visual inspection to make sure I didn't bridge anything. I have been known to do stupid things like that. No. All of those joints look good. So let us drop our kernel back in, our new kernel in. Okay, and reconnect video and audio. Power. Make sure we're off. Okay. Who wants to take bets? Yep, Marcus, I am definitely wearing reading glasses. Okay. Well, let's bring. All right, you got the output. I need to wake my monitor up, and let's see if with just no cartridge, if we get anything. Interesting. We are getting nothing at all. What did I do? Power. Is the video connected right? Okay, very weird. Yeah, I have that the right way around and nothing's bent. If I leave that out, do I get black screen again? I get nothing. I get no response from the RetroTink at all. As if there's no video whatsoever. So what did I do wrong? Video is plugged in. S-video is plugged in. Let me go ahead and switch to, oh, that might have been a little loose. Let me switch to composite and see what happens. Okay, now I'm back to the black screen with the white line. Now let's put the kernel in. That S-video keeps wiggling loose from that little adapter. I guess that could have been the problem. With the kernel replaced, we get, and that's the RetroTink. Give me a second. And for some reason, oh, there it is, coming up for you too. So there we are. We have a at least mostly working C64. So let's switch back to regular or enhanced regular diagnostics. Hook up the test harness and see what we get. So, come on. Do you want me to put the SID back in for the test harness test, or should I leave it out? Yeah, Marcus, I know I copy Adrian a lot, but I try not to copy everything he says. Pop the SID back in. Okay. That's the trying to put the ROM in the SID slot won't do the job. There's the SID. Okay, SID's back in. Now remember, I haven't cleaned the fingers on these card edge connectors, so we may have issues just because of that. Hope not, but it might be the case. And is that everything we need? That's everything we need. So let's see what we get. Sorry if that SID test sounded a bit reverby. I was picking it up on my lav mic as well. But it is fully working. So I had a feeling it might be that simple. And because of that, I do actually have another board we can take a look at. Yeah. Is this him? No, that's not it. Where is it? Give me a second to find it. That's it. Okay. This board I bought as a spare parts board. I bought it in a lot of 3. And this one has the most remaining chips of all the 3 that I got. Let's see, pull that out. Give me a second. I want to get it to the state that it was in when I bought it. I was fiddling with it a while back. Okay, so this one's done. I'll go ahead and pull everything from it. Okay, I'll be cleaning that up, cleaning up the case, and that'll end up on the market in a not too distant future. I may, like I said, I bought these 3 boards as parts machines. This one was the most complete of them, but 2 of them have full sets of ROMs, and one of them has, I think, kernel and character but no basic, or it's either character but no basic or basic but no character. Anyway, I'll probably pull and see if one of these ROMs is good, and I'll replace that EEPROM, and this will be a nearly, well, pretty much stock but repaired board. But this one, the one you're looking at now, like I said, I bought it as a spares machine, intending to strip it of its useful parts, because we all know how expensive these things are getting. Assuming the CIA's work, those are running around $35 a piece without shipping and tax. CPUs, $30 to $40 a piece without shipping and tax. A full set of ROMs will run you about $30. And of course, when you buy the parts boards, you get all the connectors, all the cartridge slots, all the connectors along the side here. You get, in some cases, you'll get yourself one of these here coils that you just can't find anywhere anymore. But I bought all 3 boards. Now that the others aren't as complete as this. This is the only one that has CPU or CIAs, but the others have everything else, and then have the ROMs. I got all 3 boards for $75 roughly. So assuming these parts work, um, you know, I feel like I've done all right. How about that? Is the audio back now? I had the mic muted. I'm sorry. I had the mic on, but I had it muted in OBS Studio. Let's see. What were we talking about? I saw you guys were talking about Adrian a bit. Can you have too many C64s? I've got 11 or 12 of them sitting around here right now. My thought on it is that they should be in the hands of people who are going to use them. So at some point, I'm going to get these all finished up. They need case repairs. They need heat sinks. Some of them might need a few caps here and there. The 8 from the Reparathon are still sitting in here, and I'm eventually going to resell them. Like I said, try to get them out to people who will use them and appreciate them. I don't think there's any limit to the number of C64s you can have. Just like I said, I think, in my opinion, they should be given to people who are going to make use of them. Yeah, I'm back. Okay. So, get a drink and maybe my voice will be a little better. So we've got this, like I said, it was bought as a parts board. This was the most complete of the 3 boards that I got. I don't know how much, I don't know where I'm muted, so I'll go over this again real quick. This one has the 2 CIAs, the CPU, full ROM set, but it did not come with PLA, SID, vic-ii. The others, they have most of the logic and the RAM, but the others don't have CIAs, don't have a CPU. One of them has a full set of ROMs. One of them has 2 of the ROMs. But like I said, this one was the most complete of them. Yes, I will take your suggestion and do some cleaning on the power system. I don't know if you heard this part. You mentioned checking the fuse. I don't need to do that because, like I said, I played with these a little bit before, and this one was actually missing its fuse at first, so I've already replaced the fuse in it. But we'll go ahead and deoxit the power socket and give that a few connections to help clean that out, make sure it's good. I will also do the same to the video port. I'm not going to deoxit the switch, and the reason for that is I think those switches actually need some lubrication inside them, and if you use deoxit, it can wash away that lubrication. Now, it can obviously also wash away contaminants that are causing problems with connectivity, but what I would do in the case where the switch was not providing good connectivity is I'd go ahead and pull the switch. I'd replace it. I have spares. I'd replace it. I'd keep the switch, so I wouldn't throw it away. What I would do would be open it up and clean it manually inside and make sure it has some lubrication in the end. Because I'm sure you've all experienced this if you've worked a lot with 64s. These things will get gummed up and it'll be hard to switch them. And I think what that is the old lubrication in there either dries up or it gets contaminated with dirt and it doesn't work. So I do think lubrication internally is important. I know deoxit has some lubrication in it. I just would rather be a little bit more thorough when I'm working on them if I have a problem with them, and replace them with a new one and then clean out the old one and reuse it later. So I won't do the deoxit on the switch at this point, but I think we'll find that it's actually working pretty well. So our first step on a brand new machine to look at, I'm going to leave the 3 missing chips out at the moment, and I'm not going to put a SID back in till the very end. But we'll go ahead and apply power, and we will check our power rails. So, multimeter leads. Set the multimeter to DC voltage and give you a view of it. Let's see if I can get rid of that glare on that screen. No, that didn't do it. It must be the light above. Thought it was the light behind. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there we go. It's a little better. So, let's give this power and see what we've got. Obviously, we aren't going to have any display because we don't have a VIC-ii, but checking our 5-volt. Oh, just have a bad connection. There we go. 4.96 on the 5-volt rail. 12-volt rail, 12.13. That should also be fine. Check the external 5 volts by testing on pin 6 of the CPU. 4.64. We have a short. So we're going to find something is shorted. Because we actually get yeah, that's low. Yeah, we have low voltage. So we're going to find a short somewhere. Let's see. We're going to leave this on for a bit and check temperatures. CPU is currently at 33. Character ROM at 31.7. 34 for the kernel, 33.5 for the kernel ROM. 31.9 for the basic. 30.1 for the CIA. Other CIA at 29.6. Check our RAM. 29.6. 29.434. 29.1. 29.1. 28.8. 30.8. 32.6. 32.1. 28.7. So these are a little warmer than the others, but not much. 555 timers at 20, or 556 timers at 28. That's at 29. Multiplexers are at 29 and 29. That's at 29. 29.5. 30. 29. 28. 28. Now let's see, go back again. We've gone a little longer. CPU is at 30, 34.5. Character ROM 36, getting a bit warm. Kernel ROM at 36. basic at 34. CIA's, well, nothing is screaming hot. Now, with it in this state, without the PLA, without the vic-ii, I'm not sure how hot these things would actually get. What do we have here? Yeah, you see more MOS 7400 logic, 74 logic chips. We have MOS. We have MOS here, here, here. The RAM chips are not MT. Trying to see that logo. I'm not sure whose logo that is, but they're not MT. I think at this point we're going to have to give it a PLA and a vic-ii and start checking signals to see where we're getting bad lines. If you guys agree with that. Oh, Donald, you're more than welcome. I enjoy these things. Let's... Okay, I think we're going to find bad ROM. And we may even find a bad CPU as well. Because those are the things that are running the hottest. Those ROMs. Wow. Without the PLA, they shouldn't even be selected at all. Let's see. Before we put the other chips in, let's actually go ahead and do some scoping. Folks, I know I shouldn't do this because it introduces a little bit of extra signal degradation, but I find it's always easier if I go ahead and extend my ground lead for the scope. All right. Let's look around. Let's see if I remember right. The chip selects are 120 on the ROMs. Let's see what we've got. 4, 3, 2, 1, 20. Well, that's low, so that's always selected. Also low. And also low. Okay, the ROMs are always selected, but that actually makes sense because there is no PLA, which means there would be no signaling. So let me go ahead and populate a PLA in here. This is a brand new Plankton EV. So it should be good. And now let's see what we get on those chip select lines. Character is high, which would make sense because there's nothing on the screen. No VIC chip to operate it. And kernel is still constantly low. Yeah. And basic is constantly high. Okay. Now let's go ahead and give the system a VIC so that we have a clock. And get the CPU hopefully running. This is a tested vic-ii chip, so it should be good. And check pin 37. If we're getting, ooh, that's odd. That's supposed to 37, 40, 39, 38, 37. Oh, that's the wrong. No, 6510. Clock is on pin 1. I was looking at the 6502 pin out. My bad. The clock is at 1.02 megahertz. So the clock is good. Reset. Reset is high. Reset behaves as it should. So now let's go back and look at those chip selects again. Character. And we're getting chip selects on the character ROM. We're getting a lot of chip selects on the kernel ROM. Nothing on basic. But if nothing is going on, we should see a burst at the beginning and when it first boot up. So, no. No. Okay, so we either have a problem with basic or the processor is never making it that far. So let's check, I guess, address lines. Start with pin 7. Yeah, that looks relatively normal. Pin 8 looks relatively normal. Pin 9 looks relatively normal. 10, that could be normal. Let me see if I can adjust the time. It's very regular, and it's got a lot of ring, but that ring could be coming from that long ground lead that I've created. I'm not sure about that. That is pin, what, 10? Okay, pin 11. That could very well be normal. 12. Yeah, I can live with that. 13. Ooh, 13 is always high. Okay, 13 could be a problem. 13 is address 6. Address 7 also high. Address 8 also high. Address 9 also high. Let's see if there's any activity at startup. No, they're just always high. And see, that's pin 17, which is address 10. Address 11. Address 11 is looking good again. Address 10. Address 10 was also looking good. So 9, 8, 7, 6. 6, 7, 8, and 9 are showing up as not great. Always high. And that is 12 is also high. 13 is also high. 14 also high. And 15 also high. Okay, so 6, 7, 8, 9. And ooh. Six, 7, 8, 9, and 12, 13, 14, and 15. That sounds like so let me see what you guys have been saying here. Sorry, what's populated is everything but the SID. Yeah, no need for Elgato View. You're right. I'm sorry. So what I'm seeing is address lines 6, 7, 8, 9, 12, 13, 14, and 15 are all stuck high, which I think sounds like possibly a multiplexer issue. I need a schematic to tell. So I need to go to Zimmer's. And I'll bring this up for you. Where's display capture there? And I need to shrink it. Commodore 8-bit files, C64. This is a 250407. So go to schematics. And if I remember right, that's these. And there are our 257 multiplexers. Huh. No, they're not. All those addresses are not on a single multiplexer, so if it's the multiplexers, it had to be both of them. The 6 and 7 are here, but 8 and 9 are down here. And 12 and 13 are here. 12, 13, 14, and 15 are all on this one. Let's look back at 6, 7, 8, and 9 again. 6 and 13, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13. 6. Yeah, that's a constant high. Interesting. Oh, wait. It was 8 and 9 that I needed to look at. Oops, sorry. 8 and 9 are 15 and 16. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16. 15. Yep, still constant highs. Where else do, now it's possible we have more than one problem. And are those aren't MOS. Yeah, those multiplexers are not MOSs. Do we have data? Six, 7, 14, and 15 are all on the 258. But it doesn't look like the other ones are. They do go to the 373. Two of them do, 8 and 9 are multiplexed by the 373. It's not going to be color RAM because it doesn't go up to address 15. So I want to try one thing. I want to try, make sure this vic-ii works. I'm sure I did this before, but just to be on the safe side, I'll pull this vic-ii and put it in my ZIF machine and make sure it's working. ZIF machine. First, we'll make sure the ZIF machine is working as is. Not again. This has been playing me up a little bit. I don't think these ZIF sockets are all that reliable. There we go. Okay, so I'll give you back the Elgato. The ZIF machine is working. So let's try that vic-ii in it. Okay, that vic-ii is working fine. And while we've got it up here, I promised that I would check the kernel ROM from the other machine that was bad in here. This is the one I marked dead from the previous machine. And we get a black screen. So there's verification that kernel ROM is dead. So that's kernel ROM from the ZIF machine. Okay. And just to be on the safe side, I never did test. Like I said, this is a brand new Plankton EV that I put in there, and I never did test it. We just should make sure that it does work. And it does. So the two chips I'm using to test this board, the Plankton EV What? Oh, right. I keep forgetting the plankton has a missing. The plankton doesn't have all the pins. That pin number 1 is actually unpopulated. And it always throws me off if I'm looking at it from this side that I think I put it in the wrong position. So we'll pop that back in there. And give the ZIF machine its PLA back. Make sure it's still working. It is. So we'll take it back down. Come back to this board. The VIC back in it. And bring it back up again. Let's see what we got. Still black screen. Okay. So let's take the Elgato back down so you can see what I'm doing. I I'll let that warm back up again and see if now that the chip selects are working as they should, if those ROMs still get as hot as they did. Time for dead test? Okay. I have no problem with that. And dead test. Okay, so we're set for dead test. Give you the output back again. That one. And here we go. Dead test gives us, well, we get the black screen, but we have to wait a moment. We're not getting any flashing. And we're not getting anything at all, just a black screen. So that's where dead test leaves us. No additional information. To really make a good shot at dead test, I would need to pull the ROMs and the CIAs. I don't know if I'm more tempted to do that or to replace the MOS logic chips first. So I think we've got something going on with the address bus. And I think all 3 of those have something to do with the address bus. Could be wrong about that, but pretty sure. What do you guys think? Check the MOS logics. You guys are big on this, on the probing, aren't you? All right, which ones are which? That's the other problem, is remembering which MOS logic translates to which 74LS logic. So we have U 15, 27, and 14. 14 is a 258. 14 should have, let's see. '14 should have output enable on pin 15. So this should be output enable. It's getting output enable. Not here. Let's see. It's switch off the Elgato, switch on the display capture, and shrink it. You can see where I'm going. Yeah, I'm looking at U14 here. Just make sure it has ground and 5 volts. It does. Now let's look at 9, 12, 7, and 4. Those are the outputs. 9, floating. 12, ground. 7, ground. 4, high. Oh, 4. Yeah. Those are the outputs of that chip. That is not right. We stumbled onto the chip that's causing the problem. What do you think, guys? Should I change U14? U14 is right here. It's a MOS logic chip. It's equivalent of a 74LS258. On the 4 output pins, I am getting, see, the output pins are, make sure I'm reading that right, 9, 12, 7, and 4. So 4 is here. That's one of the output pins. 9, oh, 7, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's one of the output pins. 9, that's one of the output pins. And 12. So there are the 4 outputs from the 258. The inputs, basically everything else. 2 and 3. That input's high. That input's low. 2 and 3 are a 0, so they should be Y0, which is 4. I'm getting a weird signal there, even though the inputs are low and high. You guys are talking about CPU and kernel, but I think we have a. I'm gonna overrule. I'm gonna change out that 258. I don't think that's right. It's a MOS chip. It's not giving me readings that make any kind of sense. One of its outputs was floating. One was an oscillating signal, but it was oscillating between about 2 and about 4 volts, not from 0 to 5 or 0 to anything near 5. Another was, I think, low, and another one was high, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So I think he's a problem. Waiting for the desoldering iron to heat up, but we can go ahead and oh no. Marked the wrong spot. Where did the pen cap go? Oh, come on, beep. Okay, let's pop this little guy into the Mini Pro. Sorry, I'm so close. Well, you can't see me anyway. I'm gonna say I'm sorry I'm so close to the camera, but I realized that the display capture is covering my image. And let's see. This is a 74258. And test. That fails. So that chip is bad. So that little, that little guy, one of the MOS logic chips, he has failed. So we're going to need a 16-pin socket and a new 258. Since I've got it out and set up, let's go ahead and drop that 258 in there and test it. And that one passes. So, excuse me for just a moment, and I'll come back and put that socket in. Okay, a little cleanup. There it is. Okay, I am going to have to be careful with this, as there are a few spots where the solder mask seems to have been chipped away, so I'll have to be careful of bridging any of those. And this time I will need my blue tack. That socket is a little looser in the vias. Oh, more blue tack than that. Come on. Sorry for the horrible noise. Okay. Yeah, Steve, I can do that. Okay. Now, Uh-huh. I was a bad boy. I bridged some pins. So I need to fix that. Oh, okay. Those pens are supposed to be bridged. Oh, that's cute. Let me show you what I did, or what I thought I did. These pins here, pins 10 and 11 and pins 13 and 14, they're supposed to be bridged together because they're getting the same signal. I thought I had bridged them by accident, but that was intentional. So let me fix that. Okay, we're good. So let's get our new 258. And hook back up and see if we get anything different. And we get anything. Still getting black screen, but let's take a look at our address lines and see if anything improved. Okay. 12, 13, 14, and 15. Here's 15. That's much better. Still not great. 14, better. Still not great. 13, still nothing. 12, still nothing. 11, 10, 9, still nothing. 8, still nothing. 7, 7's better. And 6 is better. So we improved a little bit. And those 4 lines, address 14, 15, 6, and 7, all do go to that 750, or that 258 rather. So that's one improvement. All right, let's look at the other MOS logic chips. Let's find U15 on the schematic. Here's U15. Address lines 10 and 11, which aren't the problems. And yeah, 15 shouldn't be the issue. Well, 8 and 9. 8 and 9. Address lines 8 and 9. Were those two that were still not working? Address 8 is pin 15. Yes, that's bad. 9 and 16. Yes, those two are still bad. So U15 could, if the second gate is bad. U15 is 139. Is that a... Yeah, I think that is. Okay. It's 13 and 14. Oh. Well, that could definitely be bad. Oh boy. And then U27. What's U27? Yeah, U27 is gates. Let's see. U27, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11 of, there's going to be more of that. U27 is a 74 LS08. But I don't see anywhere where the address lines go to it. I'm reading back through your comments. Okay. I'm very tempted to go for broke on the MOS logic chips. I don't think the 7712 actually touches the address bus, but you never know, and that could be causing other problems. This one definitely does touch a couple of the address lines in question. So, what do you guys think? Go for broke? Well, I can try dead test again. See what that gives us. This is still set to dead test. With those address lines screwed up like they are, I don't think we're going to get anything different. Let's give you guys a view of it. Okay, here we go. Okay, the black screen with the white line. Still not getting any flashes. And nothing from dead test. So we're still not any closer. Or well, we're closer because two or four of those address lines, when I probed them, now test better. So, and this was definitely a bad chip. Tested bad in the Mini Pro. So, go for it. All right, we're going to take out these other two MOS logic chips because they're just too unreliable, too sketchy. One of them's definitely got some some of the signals on it that are still a problem. The other one I don't think does, but if I'm going to take out two, I may as well take out three. Waiting for this iron to heat up again. Turn that back off. Okay, let's get these two chips out of here. Okay. And 3908. So this chip is the equivalent of a 74LS 139. And it tests good. All right. So that one didn't need to be changed. And this one is the equivalent of a 74LS08. And test, it failed. So one of those two was necessary to change. And oh, bumped the camera at some point. Sorry about that. All right. Okay, now here is where I want to be particularly careful, because if any of you were with me on the last live stream, one of the things I did was replace the 74 LS139. Now, when I did that, I grabbed one out of my parts bin, and I don't know if I opened the wrong drawer, or if there was a wrong chip in with the right chips. And I ended up putting a 74 LS138 in where the 139 was supposed to go. So I'm being extra careful this time to double verify that I'm putting an 08 in here and a 139 in here. That brush that you're talking about, Marcus, it's supposed to be an ESD safe brush. That's why. And I do have in a drawer, there's a bunch of toothbrushes. That's what I started out with. And then one day I saw someone online, I don't know whether it was Adrian, I don't think it was Adrian, or might have been Noel's Retro Lab. I saw someone using ESD safe brushes, and I just had to go to Amazon and buy some. So yes, you saw a bespoke brush that I use specifically for that purpose, and it's the only reason I picked it or use it is because it's supposed to be ESD safe. I have a set of ESD safe brushes, a few different shapes. There's another one. It's not the right chip. Is it? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh yeah, it is. 74 LS08. Yep. Look too big. Okay, pop that back in there. And we'll take a look and see if that improved anything. I doubt it improved much. Elgato back on. Ooh. And this is just without any cartridge. Well, we do get something different. We get a colored screen. That's a change. So let's put in the dead test cartridge. See if we get anything now. We get a brown orange screen with the white line. Still no flashing. And still no dead test. So, I wonder where to go next. We've replaced all the MOS logic. It's probably time to start looking at the ROMs, but I'll tell you what, guys, we've been on here for, well, just over 3 hours. And I think I'm going to let you all get back to your lives. I really enjoyed this. I don't know about you. I'll be doing another one in the future. I may hold this board back, and we might come back to it in a future live. As you know, like I said, it's just a parts board, so I don't need to get it up and running anytime soon. Yeah, address lines 8 and 9 do end up on the color RAM. And obviously something changed with color, so yeah, at this point it's probably either the CPU or one or more of the ROMs. And honestly, like I said, we've been going 3 hours. I'm sure you guys need to go, particularly those of you who might be over in England. It's got to be getting late for you guys. Some of us over here in the States probably need to see about getting some supper. Maybe some of your significant others might be waiting for you to to get off this live stream so you can eat with them. I don't know. But we are going to go ahead and wrap up for today. I appreciate all of you guys sticking with me this long. Like I said, I'll probably either this or another machine will do another live, probably in, I don't know, a month or month and a half or something like that. In the meantime, I've obviously got other videos if you haven't watched those. If you haven't been over to my friends' channels, 8-Bit Retro Refix, Retro for You, Captain Commodore, Joseph Retro Bits, and 8-Bits in the Basement, our new member. You can go over there and watch plenty of good content. Again, I want to thank you all for spending the time with me. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed your input, and I think well, the first one was probably too easy, but you've helped me along the way on this one. I think you've helped me narrow down the problems. But we'll get to it we'll get it solved the next time. If any of you are on here who haven't already subscribed to the channel, please do. And I appreciate any likes and comments you want to leave. And that'll do it for today. So again, thank you all for your time. I enjoyed it so much, and we'll do it again.